I just want to share three thoughts with us this afternoon as we begin this journey. And the first has to do with why are we starting this? And that is an excellent question. I'm glad you asked. 2007, we invited the Healthy Church Group to come out and survey our church, look at our ministries, and help us see things with fresh eyes and make some recommendations of what we could do as a church in reaching our community in the future. And they had several recommendations, and we accomplished those things that they suggested. One was signage. They looked at our facilities and they just saw a big rat's maze in this building, and we needed to be more user-friendly to those who visited us so that they could find their way around. And so we worked on signage inside the building as well as outside. We have in the parking lot signs to direct different age groups where to park and where to enter the building, and we finally finished that with our digital sign that we have out here in front. And now we are identified as Emmanuel Baptist Church here at China Lake. Another recommendation they had was decide on one location. We were both here at China Lake and also doing church on Graff Street. And it was very difficult to accomplish ministry in both places. And they knew we had issues with trying to reach young families and providing childcare here and doing church over there. They did not tell us what they thought we should do, but they said, you need to decide as a church. And so we made that decision, and we moved the facilities over here, our worship services over here, and that's been almost 2.5 years ago now. Another recommendation they had was to consolidate worship services. We were doing 3 services, 3 different styles of services, and Jim Ricks was leading all those services. We had the Saturday night service over here. Then we had a traditional service, 8 o'clock on Graff Street, as well as a blended service at 11 o'clock. And they said, that's too many, and so you need to consolidate. And so we did that as well. And so today, you know, the 2 services that we have had. And then one other recommendation they had was to form a strategic leadership team and decide what the values are for our church, what the vision is going to be for this church, and the mission. And people they had interviewed, people had told them that they don't see the big picture. They don't see where we are going, and in that, as we had been making decisions, the decision seemed random, or that we were shooting from the hip. We saw a problem and we would solve the problem and make the decision and keep going. But in the people's minds, those decisions seemed rather random, and they wanted the future was fuzzy. Who are we? Where are we going? And when they made that recommendation, that was a little bit overwhelming to me, because I've never been part of a strategic leadership team. Didn't know how to lead it, how to put it together, what it was all about, and I just kind of sat on it. And about a year ago, we had some people on staff who were asking, you know what, we need to go back to the Healthy Church survey, and we need to finish what they had recommended to us. And so we've been praying about how to accomplish that. It came to my attention that Steve has done things like this on base. And so in my mind, that was confirmation that, yeah, we need to do this, and we have a person right here in our church who can help lead us in this, help coach me to get this accomplished. So so that's why that's the first thing as to why we are doing this. Now, some may be asking, doesn't this kind of contradict what we're learning in experiencing God? You know, Henry Blackaby will say that you know, you shouldn't have strategic leadership plans. You know, we should just be sensitive to God and open to what God is doing around us and join Him. But that's not all true. I believe that God honors planning. And God has given us a mind, and God has given us the ability to dream and make decisions. And I just want to read a few passages of Scripture that talk about plans and God honoring those plans. The first is in 1 Chronicles chapter 28, verse 9. It says, You, Solomon, my son, know the God of your father, and serve him with a whole heart and with a willing mind, for the Lord searches all hearts and understands every plan and thought. If you seek him, he will be found by you, but if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. So David's prayer for his son Solomon is that God understands every plan and thought. He doesn't think that's a negative idea, but he understands our plans. Psalm 20 verse 4 says, May he grant you your heart's desire and fulfill all your plans. This was the prayer on behalf of David, the king in the kingdom. Proverbs 15:22 says, Without counsel plans fail, but with many advisors they succeed. If you look at the New Testament, Paul had a strategy. Paul had a plan of taking the gospel to northern Asia, and but God changed those plans. And Paul had a vision one night, and a person from Macedonia was saying, "Come over here, Paul." And Paul surmised that this was God's will, and so Paul adjusted his plans and went with God and went into Western Asia. And then if you look at Paul and Peter's ministries, Paul had a strategy of reaching the Gentiles, and Peter had a strategy of reaching the Jews. So, you know, God doesn't want us to just not plan. He wants us to plan, but we need to make sure that they are God's plans and not our own. Okay, so so we're not gonna just sit around with a blank sheet of paper and say, well, when God writes on that blank sheet of paper, then we'll know it's God and go with Him. No, He's going to use all of us, and we're going to be seeking His will, and we're going to be looking for God's activity in our church and in our community, and then we want to join Him. So God honors plans. But the last thought I have as we start this is I just want to make sure that we don't get ahead of God. Okay? That we do need to be waiting on Him. I want experiencing God first to kind of percolate in our hearts before we begin dreaming His dreams. And so we're going to make plans, but in those plans, I want to make sure that those plans can be adjusted to go with Him, okay? And that we're not making plans and asking God to bless our plans, but God is showing us His plans and how we can join Him in the days ahead.